And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. I will tell you one thing about this hobby more than anything else is I love to talk about the future. I love to talk about the past, but my God, I am such a sucker for just wanting to talk about the present too, because I would say that there is definitely times in not just this hobby, but just your life in general, like when you know you're living in like a very special moment and I think that this is one of those, like, small windows of time where you are, like, very, very well aware, you are very self-conscious that you are living in, like, this excited moment in this hobby right now. And sure, that excited moment is the reprints and the speculation that goes along with it. And listen, I understand how this conversation has been beaten so many times and that it's almost impossible to bring any new information to it. And that's probably not incorrect, but my God, I wanna talk about it so bad, and the reason why I wanna talk about it more than anything else is because I don't know how much longer this is gonna last for. In my opinion, there's pretty much only 1 or 2 situations happen, maybe 3. The first one is we get a reprint, like everybody is saying, and this is weird too. There's this weird dichotomy that's happening where one second everybody was saying we were getting reprints, and then the next second everybody was saying we weren't getting reprints. People were literally writing articles one day saying reprint, next day not. Listen, I'm still under the feeling that we're getting some sort of reprint, but what that's going to be, I have no clue. But my God, it is fun to be living in this moment because here we are, end of January 2023. Scarlet and Violet comes out March 31st, 2023. That still gives us 2 months, 2 months more or less, because you got all of February, and because it doesn't come out till March 31st, which is literally the last day in March, that gives us a full another month. So we're a little over 2 months. Something's gotta happen, but this is a weird thing that's also happening. Like, if we are getting that reprint, if we are gonna get that major dump, people haven't heard about it yet, and I don't know. So, and we asked this question, and it's the best possible question to ask when you're having this conversation. What the heck is Pokemon printing? And that has always been the question. I think we kind of got a little bit of that answer with the Charizard UPC because we saw how many of those Charizard UPCs were available. And shout out to Squeaks from Squeaks Game World. Still somebody that I would love to have a one-on-one someday on my channel, and he's always welcome if he ever is up to it. I've asked him before. He has an open invite if he ever wants to join. But today he was on the PokeFlips podcast with Dan and Nick Old School Pokemon. And one of the things that Squeaks brought up that I thought was an interesting take was he says, he was wondering if a reprint would actually, like, kind of hurt the hobby in the sense that by having a reprint, maybe you would lose a little bit of the trust of the people in the hobby, and the trust aspect being, like, their financial investment. These people that did go out and buy booster boxes, keep in mind, there are people right now today buying, Evolving Skies booster boxes at, greater than $300. And I'm going to tell you right now, the people buying Evolving Skies booster boxes are either one of two things. One, they're buying that sealed booster box as an investment play and nothing else. Or number two, they're buying it to open it, but they're pretty ridiculous financially if that's what they're doing. And they're buying that booster box to open because at the same time they could spend greater than $300 on that booster box. They could also go on the same website and pick up 36 loose packs or 36 sleeve packs. And we're talking 36 sleeve packs from reputable sellers, not, Joe Smo out there. Shout out to Joe Smo if he's in the chat, the great username, by the way. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like some random eBay seller with 0 feedback score. No, reputable sellers are selling 36 packs. So if the people are buying these booster boxes as, you know, for that opening experience, then they're doing like a financial mistake. That's why personally, I lean towards those people picking up those Evolving Skies booster boxes at greater than 300 are doing that as an investment play. I'll tell you what, that play might play out if we don't see reprints. And we don't know if we're going to see Evolving Skies reprints. To me, Evolving Skies makes probably, the most sense out of anything. And I have to now take in a lot of, different little nuances in the hobby of like, how am I going to start getting to my conclusions? Well, honestly, I would think Brilliant Stars would have been the better choice because we have just recently seen a reprint of Brilliant Stars. But the problem with Brilliant Stars is we're still seeing booster boxes available on Pokemon Center. Now, this is the most interesting thing out of all this is how many booster boxes for modern product are still available on Pokemon Center. And I'm starting to ask myself if Pokemon is looking at how many of these booster boxes are available, because for them, they don't care about, I shouldn't say they don't care, but they're not as concerned at what local LGSs are selling booster boxes for, or maybe what TCG players selling booster boxes for. I'm sure that they are very aware. They are a huge business. I'm sure there's somebody who's on that payroll whose job is to understand secondary market prices and understand where the demand is for their product. If not, that would be foolish. But the way they're running their business, it doesn't seem that that's the case. It seems that they are aware. And for them, they might be looking at just as simple as PokemonCenter.com and saying, do we need more booster boxes? And then they look and they say, well, what booster boxes are available at Pokemon Center? Again, they don't care about $100 booster boxes. They care about that MSRP of 143. And when they go on Pokemon Center and they look at their inventories, and God knows what Pokemon Center's inventory is for some of these booster boxes and stuff, it's probably just like comical numbers that, like we can't even like wrap our brains around. But I'm sure that they're probably still sitting on a decent amount of booster boxes, but then they can probably see the buy-through rate too. And I told you, when booster box prices start to become the lowest on the market, starts to become Pokemon Center, something's about to change. And I don't know which way that's going to change. Listen, I'm going to tell you now, I will tell you yesterday, and I will tell you tomorrow. You should never be buying your boxes at MSRP on Pokemon Center. If you are thinking about it and you are actively considering making a position in a lot of these booster boxes, there's not really one booster box that comes to mind where I could think you might not have had like amazing opportunities, with the exception of maybe Silver Tempest. Silver Tempest was one of the few booster boxes I was watching. I already explained to you guys that I only bought 2 Silver Tempest booster boxes, but that's not an investability play for me. That is purely a collection play. One for my personal booster box collection and one for my son's booster box collection. Again, my son's not even 2. That booster box isn't being sold potentially, I hope, for close to 2 decades, or who knows what Pokemon's going to be in 20 years or 30 years from now. But hopefully, if it is big, like he's going to have a cool booster box collection, because he's going to have at least one of every single booster box for the next 20 years. And assuming Pokemon still comes out with 4 of the 5 sets for the next 20 years, that's close to 100 booster boxes he's going to have in individual sets. So trust me, if I'm putting away, on average $100 per booster box, I still am very bullish for Pokemon in the long term. But it goes back to this near term thing. If you wanted to positions, you kind of had to have already made them, because now we're playing that ultimate game of wait and see. Now, if you haven't made your positions yet, I don't know what to tell you. I think people want to hear, like, should I buy stuff? And my answer to them will be the same as like Charizard UPCs. And I know how stupid this is to say, but I can't wait for 2-3 year timeline Charizard UPCs, and Charizard UPCs start creeping up, and and they start breaking through that MSRP price of 119, because right now you could still pick them up for 100. And when they break through that 119 and then they start to hit that 180 price point, and then finally they hit that imaginary barrier of $200, can't wait. There are going to be so many people asking, like, should I buy Charizard UPCs? They just broke $200. Do you think their Pokemon's going to not do any more reprints? And like, by the time those Charizard UPCs get to $200, like, I will tell you right now, I'm just going to throw my hands up in the air and say you're on your own. Like, if you haven't acquired your positions in Charizard UPCs at this point in the game, I'm telling you right now, in my opinion, your prices are probably at the lowest you're going to see it for either the foreseeable future or ever. And that's just my honest opinion. But it goes back to some of these booster boxes where I don't understand why people wait so long, like greater than 300. Like, when Evolving Skies was at 140, nobody talks about it. When it was at, 95, nobody, well, see, this is the thing. I shouldn't say nobody was talking about that, because that's also sort of a lie, because we were talking about it. I made a video on my channel right before I thought Evolving Skies was going to get a reprint. And I said, I sold out all my Evolving Skies booster boxes. And in that video, I was very quick to immediately say, like, you can go back and watch that video. The next line I say in that video is, but I'm going to tell you guys right now that I will make this video. I will tell you that I'm selling because I think there's going to be a reprint. And then there was. This is before. I said in that video, as soon as the reprint comes, which at the time recording that video hadn't came yet, but it ended up coming, I said the next line that as soon as the reprint comes, I'm going to be reacquiring my entire position of Evolving Skies. But this is the weird thing. People will watch that video. They'll remember that video. They'll remember me making that video. They'll remember me talking about selling before the reprint, but they'll ignore like the 30-minute window in that video where all I did was talking about reacquiring my position after the reprint, and that I was going to feel out to see how the market did, and I was going to see how big the reprint was. I wasn't sure if the reprint was going to be an absolute dump and we are going to see sub $95 booster boxes, or I didn't know if the reprint was going to be a very small trickle where people were only getting a case or two. And if that was the case, I didn't think booster box prices were going to be able to drop very low, but they did. They went from 180 to 130. And guess what? When 130 came, and then I really started to see the big guys, your football Pete's and stuff, and I saw that that was their bottom dollar. It was an indicator that that was the time to get back in. And if you go back and watch that video, there's like a 30-minute section of me literally just talking out that entire process. But you'll hear people who somehow refer to that video as like, oh, people, were selling out of their Evolving Skies. It's like, yes, because that was the title of the video. And then I immediately in that video explained to you what I was going to do when the reprint came. But now this is a problem I'm running into again. Now I still have those booster boxes that I sold, bought back, and now I'm sitting on them again. And now I'm starting to watch prices creep up. Now this is where I'm getting super nervous because, I have booster boxes are now worth greater than $300. What do I do with those? Right now, I'm still sitting on them. So to tell you how confident I am in this reprint is not extremely high. The last time I was confident in a reprint, I made a video talking about it. Now, I don't know. And it's the honest truth. I don't know, because I think reprints are coming, but I don't know what they are. And if I was super confident, I would have made the same exact video with the same exact title as I did last time I sold my Evolving Skies position. But I just don't know this time. And that is one of the craziest things. I'm looking, I don't know what Pokemon is printing right now, unless it's just Scarlet and Violet to the moon. And, I hate the printer argument and stuff. The printers are only doing silver border cards, and they're not. I don't think that's it at all. We have we have modern silver border cards. I mean, here, this is a gold border card. Look, that just happened to be right next to me. They were making, that's not a yellow gold border. That's a gold border, not yellow. Pokemon commons, uncommons are yellow. This is gold. So it's not like they weren't able to make that border in a long time ago, and that's sure silver or gold and not silver, but trust me, it's not that huge of a difference. So I don't think that's it at all. But man, something weird is going on, huh? And I feel it. I feel it in my bones of bones, and I'm sure a lot of people out there watching these videos, I think that's why this conversation and these questions keep getting brought up over and over. I think people are super self-aware, and they are very understanding that we are living in this special moment. And it was the same way that when the opposite happened, when we saw booster box prices crash, and we saw that reprint, and we saw Evolving Skies go down to 90, and we saw Fusion Strike Evolving Skies at 95, and Fusion Strike at 90, and Battle Styles at 80, and Chill and Rain at $80. When that happened, and I made the video as I walk through the valley of the shadow of $79.95 booster boxes, I fear no evil. And the fact that I was so amazed at the price of those booster boxes that I drove all the way to Football Pete's warehouse just to meet him and talk to him in person, because I was so amazed by that. Because I was so aware of the situation we were in. And if you listen and you actually truly listen, you hear what people were saying. There was a lot of people acquiring positions in Chill and Rain, at 80, sub $80. I heard some people were acquiring positions at like 70 to 75. I never got that lucky. I told you guys what the lowest I ever bought Chill and Rain was at $79.95. That was it, right at $80. That was the cheapest I ever bought Chill and Rain. But my God, talk about being self-aware that you are in a great moment, at least from a buyer. And that's what it's going to constantly, like, I think, just roll into in the future, is recognizing, like, when are these good buying opportunities and stuff. And I see, like, somebody just mentioned Rudy down in the bottom of the chat. You know, I think Rudy brings up, like, great points too. I think the only thing is I don't think Rudy knows either, though. I don't think anyone knows. You know, we don't know if nothing's getting reprinted. And Rudy brought up a fantastic point in his last video. He said that if he thinks Pokemon is not printing for, like, potentially a reason like printer issues or something weird is going on. And I think he used those words, like something weird, because he said it himself. Pokemon is potentially leaving on the table without doing a major reprint tens of millions of dollars. And then what I heard Squeak say earlier in the Pokeflips podcast, when Squeaks mentioned, he said, maybe it would be like almost a disservice to the player base and collector base to do like a massive reprint, like similar to what we saw with a Roaring Skies, or what we saw with an Ultra Prism, that really like hurt booster boxes and hurt these prices for a long term, and really like kind of made him, it was a make or break for a lot of people. But this is the thing. I think Pokemon is in a position that it needs reprints for this stuff. It needs more inventory, at least in the near term. The market has the ability to absorb so much right now. And like I said, if we get an Evolving Skies reprint, I have a feeling that the market would just be on overdrive, and it would just be absorbing like almost preposterous amounts of this product until, pretty massive reprints could get eaten up relatively quick. But that's the thing. We kind of need that for all these products in a way. But now this is a question, and the title of this video is Pokemon in a better or worse place in 2021? And my answer to that is we're obviously in a better position, right? Like, there is still product. You can go on Pokemon Center and you can search for most products, with the exception of, yes, Evolving Skies, but any other set, you can pick up product. Sure, maybe you can't pick up booster boxes of Rebel Clash or Sword and Shield, but there's pretty much every other booster box is still available. Or you go, but now this is the thing. When you go on eBay and you start to look at prices, you type in Lost Origins and you see what a Lost Origins booster box is selling for, opposed to like that MSRP price on Pokemon Center. You're like, wait, what is going on? Usually your price point on eBay should be like so drastically lower. So it's just this, I don't know. I love talking about it though. I love living in the now for modern Pokemon. And Pokemon could be doing multiple things. One, that massive reprint comes and they just dump product on, and for whatever reason they're not telling anyone, which I don't understand why that would be a secret. Or number two, they're just truly moving on from Sword and Shield. Now, I've heard like ridiculous things. Some people speculating that Crown Zenith isn't going to get reprints and stuff like this, and not going to have like major restocks. I'm going to go on a limb and say that Crown Zenith is going to get printed again. That the fact that, sure, these early booster boxes sold out, I don't think that this is the only Crown Zenith we ever see from now until the end of this hobby. Like, sorry, I'm not going to get on board with that. Like, some people are so far out in left field though with like some of that thinking. Like, we are talking a product that Crown Zenith was released 6 days ago. That's not even a week. There's 7 days in a week. That product was released 6 days ago. And I've heard people say that it's never going to get reprinted ever again. I'm just like, don't you think that is just a little ridiculous that you are now going to, yeah, like, isn't that a little kind of ridiculous though? Ah, it's a little crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just crazy. I don't know. We're living in this weird time. I wonder if things after Scarlet and Violet get better or if things just kind of stay the same because I'm seeing so many people enter this hobby and some people got to be getting crushed though, right? Looking at modern product, looking at modern singles, watching the market just, and I've talked about it before, in a way, like the market is just in this perpetual loop, never ending of just the movie Groundhog's Day, where like things constantly happen over and over and over again. You know, those crazy pre-order prices start crashing. I mean, Danny Phantom made a great video, you know, showing Crown Zenith prices where what pre-order prices sell for versus what singles sell for right after release. And it's just preposterous to think that people are still on that original buying end of that. People still buy those singles at the pre-order prices. I don't know. Hopefully that ends soon. But yeah, so I'm gonna scroll up to the top of the chat. I don't want to make this a super long live tonight, but I do want to just if there's any answers, and then I think we'll do it right now. Actually, how far are we? About 20 minutes in. So I did have that video where I did the giveaway, and it's PSA Gem Mint 10 Old Maid Pikachu, and all you had to do was comment on that video, and I have not done the comment picker, so I'm going to do that right now. And then whoever's the winner is will have 7 days to reach out to me. Either leave me a comment, or I just reach out to me on Instagram. So let's see. All right. So this is the comment picker. So I already pre-populated it. I'm going to filter duplicate users. 8 plus 8 or 8 divided by 8? All right. All right. Amount of unique comments, 65. Start raffle and pick a random winner. A guy from crowd commented, I love your reaction when you said that. He said your actual name. Guy from crowd, congratulations. You are the now owner of a Gem Mint 10 Pikachu. Do me a favor, just message me on Instagram with your information, and then I will give you like a 4-digit code. All you have to do is write in the comment. You put that 4-digit code so I know it's you, and then give me your address and I'll send this to you. But that's good. And if anybody didn't know, I did a reaction video to a mystery box that I sent PokeRev. And then during that reaction video for the mystery box I sent PokeRev, I also said that I was doing this giveaway. So anybody that watched that video, commented, congratulations. You are at least entered. All right, let's go back to the chat now. See what everybody's saying. All right, let's see. Catchball Collectible says he's got a massive allocations of Scarlet and Violet, so they're definitely printing some of that. It's crazy that you're getting your allocations of Scarlet and Violet, but any potential reprints we haven't heard anything about yet. Either Pokemon is doing this thing where they're keeping it real tight to the chest, or there's just nothing coming. But I will tell you what, if there's nothing coming, I've mentioned this, I want to say you could probably go back like 5 or 6 lives ago. These booster box prices are going to run away. And it's going to take a reprint to kill some of this stuff right now. John Doe says, interesting times. You hear people say that they expect reprints back to Chill and Rain, and others that think they're nearly done with Sword and Shield after Crown Zenith. I think reprints are coming. I could be wrong, and I'm fine with being wrong. Because I told you, the thing I love to do more than anything else, and the beautiful thing and the luxury we have on this channel, being a super small channels, we have the luxury to speculate. So when we get to speculate that there will be or will not be reprints, this is the thing. When I look at reprints, I always try to look at what is the positive of a reprint for Pokemon, and then I try to look at what is the negative of that reprint for Pokemon. And normally, I would say for the negative for Pokemon would be, yes, you would lose the trust in the investor, and you would lose, and then, like, maybe the market wouldn't trust Pokemon as much, like, is that the downfall? But I don't think that's what's happening. I think that there is a lot of people out there who are begging for a reprint and really want a reprint. I think from the investor side of it, I think that there's a lot of people that hope prices go down so they can just acquire their positions for the first time, which again is ridiculous. And one of the things that I said at the beginning of this video, if you want to acquire positions in all this stuff, you had a window of time. And I think a lot of people think that investing in sealed modern is this very lackadaisical. You kind of just you purchase it, you tuck it away, you set it, you forget it. But I always talk about investing in modern is I think investing in modern is one of the more active things you need to be doing in the hobby. Because for modern Pokemon, especially when it comes to investing in it, you have to be living in the today for modern Pokemon. Sure, you can do the whole 5-10 year timeline. Go ahead if that's what you want to do. But if you're looking at lowest cost points, which is what I'm doing, I have to live in the day today. But I'm fine with that because I actually love doing it. I love living in the day today for everything Pokemon. And it doesn't matter if it's super modern or super vintage or anything. I love living in the day today because it's just one of those things that keeps you actively engaged. And some people don't want to be actively engaged at that level in Pokemon. And that's fine. If that's not for you, that's fine. You can if you don't want to be actively engaged at all, I told you a million times in this video, never pick up your product at Pokemon Center for 143. You should always be picking it up lower 100% of the time. Acquiring initial positions at Pokemon Center should never be your number one. But if you are really just that uninterested and unengaged, that's not the person I'm talking to. So screw it. Like, go ahead. You could buy that on Pokemon Center if you want. Like, if that's going to be the person. But for modern Pokemon, you gotta live in the day to day. And if you really want to start like acquiring massive positions, you have to start building that relationship too with somebody that you think is going to get it really low. But that's not even always the case 100% of the time too, because you look at your P football Pete's like that's a guy that I just always buy my booster boxes from. It's easy because usually he's the lowest. And I think a funny thing too is like Crown Zenith. When Crown Zenith came out, there was a lot of pre-order prices I was seeing at like the 142, 143. But I was fine with sitting back on Crown Zenith and waiting to see how the market played it out. I think V-Star Universe, the writing was on the wall there. We talked about it. I mean, Crown Zenith was beat to death on this channel and other channels. We knew what it was going to be. But I still just sat back and waited. And then as soon as it was released, and I saw prices from P Football Pete for like 45, and I kind of dragged my feet, and then it went up to $47. And then I picked up my one ETB at 47, not including my PokemonCenter.com ones. $47 for me was fine. That was a ETB I was looking up to purchase for myself. Sure, I probably missed out on that 42 pre-order, but I was fine with just sitting back and waiting for 47. But that's the thing. I was sitting back and waiting because I knew I was going to be actively engaged. But once the market started to dictate itself, I started to see how much volume these guys are selling at. Those big sellers, you get the liberty. eBay gives you that liberty. You can see, 4,000 sold. When somebody is selling 4,000 of an ETB, that means that they are burning through product, and then the market is absorbing a ton of the stuff. The writing was on the wall for what Crown Zenith. Sorry, what have I been saying? Chillin' Rain. I don't even know sometimes what Crown Zenith ETBs were doing. Like the writing was on the wall for those. So it's just pretty apparent, And the crazy thing too is how much product these guys are getting. I think P Football Pete moved through. Last time I looked, it was like close to 4,500 ETBs. 4,500 ETBs. There's 10 ETBs that comes in per case. That means he at least sold through 450 cases. Have you ever seen what 450 cases look like? 450 cases is a freaking lot. That is a lot of cardboard. That is a lot of boxes. I mean, if you've ever just held one ETB case, it's not like massively overwhelming, but now trying to imagine that one, but now adding 449 more of those booster or cases. That's a lot. And that's just one product he was moving. That doesn't include all his booster. He's selling everything. You go on his store right now, you could probably see thousands of listings and multiple cases. I mean, he's selling, you name it, he's selling it. But just the logistics of how much room that took up between 450 ETBs, and again, that is not including anything else he sells. And I've been to his warehouse, or at least his store, when he was transitioning into his warehouse. And I walked in, and I always told you guys, I thought it was going to be like this nice, clean thing. I was thinking like, big metal shells and forklifts and all kinds of stuff. But no, I walked in, it was just like organized chaos, just pallets and fucking cardboard boxes stacked to the ceiling. When I just tell you they were stacked to the ceiling, they were stacked to the ceiling. Like, it was, you could walk in and it was just from the floor, and then they almost touching the ceiling, and then as far back as you can walk. It was just like you could barely walk. There weren't clean corridors. They were like all zigzaggy. And while I was there was a UPS truck there. There was a FedEx truck there. And so UPS, FedEx, and just the regular post office, where all three of those trucks came in and out while I was there. And I was only there for like 15, 20 minutes. It was an amazing sight to behold. Amazing. So it takes like an army to do that. So, but yeah, those guys were getting a lot of product. But the only reason they even get this much product in the first place is because they do believe that they can move through that much product. And he proved to do it in like less than a week. I mean, that's a lot. So, and I think even Mason from Cardinal Game, I mean, obviously he's not getting 450 cases of Crown Zenith ETBs, but even he said he moved through in just like the first 3 days, 85% of his entire inventory, 85% of a product. That is a lot of buying pressure. And keep in mind, 450 cases, 4,500 ETBs for P Football Pete. That's only one seller on a platform. One. There's a lot more than one seller too. So just the amount of product that was acquired, absorbed, and now how much of this was ripped, how much of this was, sat back, kept sealed, I don't know. I think maybe for Crown Zenith, I'd expect a little bit more of this to be ripped than most products we've seen in the past, but I don't know. It's just amazing what the market's able to absorb, though. That is an insane amount. Let's see. Kevin Clear saying $100 a box, calling it. Maybe. I mean, anything could be printed enough. So John Doe says, Evolving ETBs pushing up to Celebrations ETB prices. Yeah, I'm very happy that I have my Pokemon Center Evolving Skies ETBs, which that was a weird thing too. If you guys remember how those Evolving Skies Pokemon Center ETB drops were, that was the biggest regret I ever had. That was like one of the community posts I didn't post, like when the ETB restocks went up, and then I was able to get my first run of those, and then I ended up getting a couple on the second run too. But they were only ever limits of 2, where most of the time, at least recently, since Celebrations at least, all pre-orders you were able to get limits up to 4. Evolving Skies only limited 2 per artwork. And the way that Pokemon Center's website was crashing, like you had to check out each artwork individually. You couldn't like add both artworks to the same cart, like do 2 of each artworks. And it was just like a mental pain at Pokemon Center. And how fast Evolving Skies Pokemon Center ETBs sold out. They were only available for like an hour or 2 the first day, and then that very small restock they had. So that was weird too, that we never saw like massive print runs of those, where like the following ones, we've definitely seen a lot of them. Astral Radiance, Brilliant Stars, like some of these Pokemon Center ETBs are still available on PokemonCenter.com. And Celebrations Pokemon Center ETBs, forget about it. Celebration Pokemon Center ETBs, if anybody wanted Celebration Pokemon Center ETBs, they had more than enough opportunities. So that was one of those ETBs that were constantly being restocked. We saw those on the website for a long time. And again, long time subjective. We saw it for like a month, where you could pick up Celebrations Pokemon Center ETBs on PokemonCenter.com. But now you still have people buying those, which that's another thing of, trust me, if you want Pokemon Center ETBs, they have never once ran a sale on those. So if you want those, your best time to pick those up are at pre-order. I always, as soon as they go live on the website, I just do my pre-order. It's the same thing with like the Scarlet and Violet ones recently. Every one you get that weird promo card. I don't even know what character it is, but you get like a promo card with all your pre-orders. It's just, yeah, those is the price is there. You don't have to wait for the Pokemon Center ETB, the drop-in price. You know what the price is going to be. You might as well just pick those up as soon as possible, especially if it's something you're putting away, because Pokemon Center ETBs, in my opinion, are something you kind of just put away. You put them, you keep them sealed, you put them away. They're not really something you're going to open. If you want to open stuff, if you want to go the pack opening route, there's so many better options out there than Pokemon Center ETBs, in my opinion. Though with now Scarlet and Violet, we are going to now run into this weird issue now that Pokemon Center like ETBs are going to start coming with a Pokemon Center exclusive promo within that ETB, which I do find fascinating, and I will be very curious to see how the market, at least in the graded card market, how the graded card market values these Pokemon Center stamp promos opposed to the regular promos. They're at the very okay. Like, don't kill the messenger if this doesn't work out. But I think right at release for those Pokemon Center ETBs, I think that a lot of those will have grading plays. And the only reason I think that Pokemon Center ETBs will have grading plays because of that. And if anybody out, I should preface this and give a little back information if anybody doesn't know. Pokemon Center, the new Scarlet and Violet ETBs, they are going to have extra packs in it. The price per ETB has increased because we've seen MSRP price increases, throughout the hobby. All new ETBs going from Scarlet and Violet to the future are going to have a promo in it, very similar to like your Crown Zenith promo had, the Lucario promo, or Shining Fates had the Eevee, or Hidden Fates had the Stained Glass Bird, and so they're going to have a promo even for regular set ETBs. But the Pokemon Center ETB is going to have two of those promos. It's going to have the regular promo, which you can get in any ETB, even the one you buy at Target or Walmart. But then the Pokemon Center one is going to have a stamp on it that says Pokemon Center. So I should give a little, background just for the people out there that may not know that. And I'll be interested to see how the market values that stamp. And it might sound silly, but I promise you, the market loves their stamps. If you don't believe me, go look at Charizard pre-release staff promos. If you don't believe me that people overvalue one extra little stamp, they do. So how Pokemon Center ones are going to play out opposed to the regular ones, I don't know. And the reason why I say I don't know is because if everybody's doing what I just told you to do and what I have been doing for every single Pokemon Center ETB, I've never opened one. To put that into perspective, I've never opened up one single one of my Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs. If I ever wanted my packs fixed, I always got it from some other auxiliary product. So if people are still keeping that thought process in mind that they're only going to keep these sealed at the very initial, like graded ways of these stamp cards, I'm just curious. I don't know. That's just my thought process. I'm not going to keep it a secret. I'm just very curious to see how the market deals with a promo like that. One or two things could happen. The market doesn't value it at all because everybody feels that they already have one because they have one sealed in their ETB and they don't need to have that graded one. Or the market doesn't know how to react to that. And then we start to see like ridiculous premiums for that Pokemon Center stamp because there will be so few of them graded opposed to the regular promo that's going to come in a million different ETBs. And I haven't heard anybody like talk about that yet, really like in depth. So maybe this is like one of the first times anybody's really like mentioned that, but it will be interesting to see. And again, that is just, you get the privilege. We get to live in the day today. So come March 31st and, first week of April, everyone starts getting their Pokemon ETBs, and those are probably cards you're going to send away at bulk. And which we'll talk about like PSA, if PSA is going to potentially increase or decrease their price for bulk if we see some kind of special, in my opinion. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Like 3 weeks after the fact, mid-April, end of April, when you see those very first Pokemon Center exclusive promos start hitting the market. I don't know. If you want my opinion right now, I think that there will be enough premium in that graded promo to offset the entire cost of that ETB. That's just my opinion. I think that could easily be like a stupid premium, at least in the short term. But then I promise you, once the market starts to recognize that there is a premium for a card like that, then you'll start to see people opening up these Pokemon Center ETBs. And then you'll see like this weird play on those. And I promise you, most people, the average person, will be late to plays like that. They will not be there right away. Because for whatever reason, like the super obvious ones, people will kind of just wait and let everybody else make their money first, and then they'll say, "Oh yeah, I guess this makes sense. Like, let me race it," and then the price of that would just crash and burn and just explosion, and Um. All right. Oh, but then to PSA, I think we're going to see a PSA special in February, at least for TCG. $19, in my opinion, is pretty high, especially taking into consideration that in December it was 18 and like previous months it was 15. $19 feels high. I feel like maybe they had a little bit more of a backlog than they wanted in bulk. But I do believe that at $19, they're just not seeing people submit as many cards under that $19 tier. So I think they're just going to probably lower it again. And why do am I putting my money where my mouth is? Yeah. Like I have a stack of cards already, like a decent stack that I'm just waiting for, $15 grading again. And this brings up like Crown Zenith plays too. I think Crown Zenith plays, there's a lot of cards that people could definitely have justified sending at $19. And I think that those people that were really, really early to Crown Zenith plays will probably do okay with their graded plays. Crown Zenith can be another one of those sets where there will be a race to the bottom on a lot of these promos. And then that trickle down effect for race to the bottom is not just going to affect that, PSA 10, PSA 9 price. It's definitely going to affect that raw price too. There are some cards that I think the market is actually like devaluing too much. Like I think there are like the Pikachu from Crown Zenith, like has the potential to get to a point where it starts to become pretty enticing to buy that card when you start to consider like pull rates of a card like that. And I think it's like I heard some people saying like 1 out of 100 to get that secret rare Pikachu, and then it's funny, right? Like people will love a card, love it. Especially like that Pikachu is a fantastic example of a card that at pre-release prices selling for absolutely astonishing numbers. As soon as there's a decent amount of a card like that hits the market, people instantly just say, "Oh, I don't want it anymore. Oh, I'm scared of, oh, look at that card's crashing and burning." It's like you're okay with it when it was selling for greater than $100, but now that it's selling for sub $30, you somehow don't like that card. Somehow the fundamentals of the artwork on that card has changed for you, and people are just like, and listen, Timmy's will be Timmy's, and that's it. They'll always be. They won't ever, and trust me, there will become good buying opportunities. And I've said it before, usually for raw prices. And this is a weird thing, and I've already mentioned before, for raw prices of cards, you're probably going to see the lowest some of these cards are going to sell for raw right at release when like the population's oversaturated with these cards and they're being opened at that, super fast rate. Raw cards usually take time to increase in value until that stuff stops being open. And some of these products, we've seen it now. It could take years for that to happen. Crown Zenith, we just happen to see such a crazy frenzy of people opening this product. I think it pushed down prices a little bit faster than some people are used to it. But then on the other end of that spectrum, I've told you before. So even though you see the cheapest prices for the raw card, ironically, at the same time, you will see the highest realized prices for PSA 10 prices. And then once PSA 10s start to get oversaturated, PSA 10 prices start to drop while the raw card starts to go up. I know. It doesn't make sense, and it doesn't, and it's never has, and it probably never will. But that is how the market plays out for a lot of this stuff way too often. Now, there is definitely examples where that is definitely not the case, but I think you would have to really like understand the timeline you're talking about, or your vivid voltage Chunkachoos or Darkness Ablaze, Charizard, stuff like that. Like there's definitely those cards were way more money at release, but there was way different fundamentals people were building into those cards than actually probably existed in those cards. So without talking about cards in 2020, 2021, like pulling yourself back from maybe that 2-year timeline in the 25-year history of this entire like hobby, then it starts to become a little bit different. You got Jonathan Briggs in, says look forward to watching the video later. No problem, Jonathan. We got Danny's RTCG. Let's see. Yeah, John Doe saying the market already needs more Crown Zenith ETBs. Yeah, I'll tell you what. To run out of a set in a week is not a healthy spot. So when Pokemon is in a better or worse place, that is kind of the same spot. You don't want, sets being like supply evaporated within the first week. Chavaz thinks Evolving Skies will be printed until 2026. Maybe. I think this is the thing too, is we are taking a little bit too much liberty, maybe, in thinking that there's no way that after, March, that Pokemon will go back and reprint Sword and Shield. And the reason why I think maybe we could be taking a little bit too much liberty is because we have trying to understand, like, these old Sword and Shield booster boxes are going to be at that old MSRP price. So that 143, where all the new sets from Scarlet and Violet going further is going to be at that 167 or whatever. So like that is some of that argument of, will they go back and reprint? Probably not. And when you start to look at it and you say, well, what did they do in Sword and Shield? Sword and Shield base, Rebel Clash, Darkness Blaze, those were the first 3 sets. During that time, did they go back and reprint any booster boxes from Sun and Moon? And the answer is no. Now, it was also March 2020 where some of this stuff happened. Printers were shut down, so it's hard to say, but they didn't do it for Sun and Moon. So does it make sense for them to do it for Sword and Shield? Probably not, but there's still a window of time where it would make sense for them to do that. And like Rudy said, Pokemon is leaving a ton of freaking money on the table right now. Let's see. Oh, jumped right to the bottom. Nice. Let's see. We got a bunch of people in the chat. We got always good to see Drew in the chat. Felipe de Sosa said, question for PK in chat. Do you want the reprints or do you hope that Pokemon has left Sword and Shield behind? From like the investor aspect, I would like for them to not reprint any of these sets because that means because right now I'm not acquiring any more Sword and Shield booster boxes as we stand right now today at the time recording this video. Where the market is currently today, like at this second, I am acquiring 0 more Sword and Shield booster boxes. All my positions are already built. So from the investor aspect of me, no, I do not want reprints of these sets. From the overall person for me, yes, I do want to see reprints and I do want it because not everything in this hobby is about money. And if prices did get low enough, then that's beautiful too, because then I'll just reacquire more positions. Because for me, booster boxes, for the most part, not all the time, but for the most part, they're usually longer term plays than any other, positions I'm ever building in this hobby. Yeah. So a lot of people are hoping for reprints in the chat. La Butler said Alpha just said beginning. So Alpha Investments just said beginning of April is a reprints. Interesting. It doesn't make sense why the reprints would come out at the same time as Scarlet and Violet, because Scarlet and Violet comes out March 31st. So why make the reprints come out the exact same timeline as your newest set? Why wouldn't you just already have those reprints released when there's literally like a 2-month window in this hobby? And 2 months is a long time for there not to be a crazy amount of product. Mace Berry said, everyone is making shit up unless it comes from Danny. I wouldn't trust anyone. Yeah, I'm not making anything up. I'm literally said in this video like 35 times. I do not know what's going on, but I love to speculate. So that's not me making things up. Me just talking through what the hell could be going on. Yeah, Danny's saying reprints would be good for the hobby, and I agree with him. Derek Lavender says reprint everything and make a Moonbreon VMAX collection box to destroy all hope. That would hurt a lot of people. That would just, oh my god, can you imagine the content we would get out of a like Moonbreon VMAX collection box? that VMAX collection box would break the internet for a little while. And I would be buying one of those VMAX collection boxes because I do not own any Moonbrowns right now. I've never, but it's a card I love to watch. It's just because it's fascinating. I love to watch a card like change trajectories, crazy hype, then crazier hype all the way up to 1,500. Retrace down the 600. And now we're seeing those back to $1,000. That is one of the most amazing things when you take into account how many of those cards are current. And again, this is in PSA 10 prices. How many of these cards are being graded, and it's just fascinating to watch. And it really gives you like a decent like finger on the pulse of how many people are actually engaged in this hobby, buying modern product. It's a lot. Listen, historically, $1,000 for a card is a lot. So to see people, picking up just one card at $1,000 and in such a high quantity is amazing. It's amazing. I'm telling you, it's amazing. Yeah, Kevin Clare says it really doesn't matter, honestly. So many people holding, and there's product out there. Yeah. There's a lot of product out there. I don't know. Yeah. There's definitely way more people holding sealed than in the past. Oh, I'm gonna jump down to the bottom real quick. I see I just got a super chat. Pokemon Collector says, thanks for all your rants, PK. Keep them coming. I appreciate you, Pokemon Collector. Thank you for the super chat. All right, now I'm gonna hop back up. I might have lost my spot, but that's okay. I see Drew in the chat saying everybody leave a like. Yeah, if you haven't hit that like button, do me a favor. Smash that like button. Feel real good. Do it just one time. And if you're new to this channel, you're just discovering this channel for the first time, I do a lot of these lives. I do a lot of these random rants, kind of my thought process. So hit that subscribe button. But I also co-host a podcast with myself, Cool Trainer Ryan, Rattle Pokemon. That podcast will be airing tomorrow night. So on Friday, we're going to be having that podcast. It's always a fun time. I never really know what we're going to talk about, but it always is special. So yeah, that will be tomorrow night. It'll be following immediately after Rattle's premiere. So all you should do is go to the Rattle's channel, watch his premiere. Then from that premiere, YouTube automatically redirects you right into the podcast. And yeah, I think last week we went a little bit off the rails, started talking about like candy from the 90s. I definitely show myself as being a boomer, but I definitely think I talked about penny candies at one time. And I'm pretty sure Ryan almost had a heart attack. But yeah, it's going to be fun. And there's a lot of things to talk about, just not just modern Pokemon and, the investing and what's going to happen with the reprints. There's a lot of stuff just going on in the hobby as a whole. So that would be a lot of fun too. Aaron Scott says, hey, I'm here for that free rare couch. Yeah, no more couch. Now I got a computer chair. Let's see. Let's see. So Son of a Merch says, picked up a Tyranitar V10 recently restocked at Walmart. 3 out of 5 packs are Evolving Skies. I don't know what it means though. What do you mean? What does it mean? Congratulations, you got 3 Evolving Skies packs. Like, it means that there are Evolving Skies cards out there or packs out there. It's just people are, I think, buying booster boxes solely for the investability aspect. I do not believe that people are buying booster boxes right now to open them. And if they are, then they are very financially silly. Rattle has made enough videos now talking about more or less that your averages of your pull rates are going to be the same on average through different products. And he showed that now on multiple streams where he's opened up 30 ETBs on one stream and 500 packs on another. And when you look at average pull rates, the statistics are exactly the same in booster boxes. And those 500 packs, he got those all out of tins. So those 500 packs weren't out of booster boxes, but on average, the pull rates were the same. The only caveat to that is he didn't pull the Moonbrowne. But if he did pull the Moonbrowne, people probably wouldn't be having that conversation. So, yeah. Let's see. Scroll down. So Mikhail says, I don't know if you have any knowledge about this, but I would wonder about the price disparity between European and American market. There seems to be a large difference in prices between some products. Yeah, I'm not the one to really talk about that. I think a lot of that just has to do with like logistic issues. I think obviously English Pokemon gets printed in the United States. So you got your millennial print groups and stuff like this. So the only problem is there's just that logistic aspect of shipping cards over, and you're not shipping boxes upon boxes upon boxes of sealed Pokemon products right from the printer to distribution on an airplane. You're doing that on cargo ships, so you're loading up that, and then you have to ship it across the Atlantic Ocean and stuff like that. I think it's just a little bit more of that logistic issue is why you're seeing a little bit of price disparity there. So we are spoiled in that sense as Americans. And then it's the same thing with Japanese product. When you get Japanese product in Japan, it's cheaper than opposed to, picking up in Japan, having it shipped over to America. You're always going to pay that premium because of that logistic issue. Let's see. The Green Collectible says, PK, when you going to start collecting Yu-Gi-Oh? Well, I don't really collect Yu-Gi-Oh. I have some Yu-Gi-Oh. Here's some random Yu-Gi-Oh for you, the Green Shiz. Here's some modern Yu-Gi-Oh for you. But I've already told you guys, I like to pick up one booster box of random sets, just kind of tuck it away, put it in the corner over there, so nobody ever sees it but me. Chevals, PK saying Pokemon Center ETBs are not good now, huh? Question mark. Just like you went from a CGC promoter to a hater. That's it. That's enough. What? When did I ever say Pokemon ETBs are not good now? They're always good. They're just sealed product plays, man. They're not open plays. Let's see. So Jimmy Blake said, liquidity though, PK. Not everyone just watches this pass by. Some has their finances tied up in the previous play. Yeah, I could see that being a case. But if your finances are tied up in a previous play, like what previous player are you waiting for to play out? And I think that maybe that is one of those huge caveats for modern Pokemon. When is the sell time? Like, I think that is a good thing, or maybe not a good thing. It's a good conversation to have. One of the reasons I like to play more of the flipping game for modern graded cards, or just graded cards in general, is because I feel like I have a much better indicator of like and a pulse of the market. Like, how's the market going to play out for certain cards? Like a lot of these cards, I understand that it's a race to the bottom, first to market type stuff. Even though first to market and race to bottom might sound really scary to a lot of people, I actually don't find that scary, because at least I feel like the plays that happen make sense. Where for sealed modern, you sometimes you have to sit on this and you just don't know when is the good time to sell. And I think if for sealed modern you did have a better indicator of when to sell, you can say, well, I think sealed modern is a 5-year play. I think it's a 10-year play. How do you know that? Like, where do people get these numbers from? Like, how do you know that 5 years, that is the moment you're going to be ready to sell? Like, I can't tell you. I wouldn't be able to tell you. Like, I could not give you a definitive answer that like 5 years from now, I will be ready to sell that product, because then and only then, after 5 years, will I believe that the price that it's at will be the best price. I don't know. Maybe in 5 years from now, some of this modern product, you're still seeing prices have retraced on some of it, or prices have stayed the same, or prices are continuing to go up. And after 5 years from now, you still don't want to sell it because you're not sure. So, all right. All right. Well, let's roll to the bottom. And I'm done. All right. I didn't want to do a long stream, and I'm just going to get under the hour mark. Do me a favor, everybody out there, appreciate every single one of you guys. Hit that like button. do me a favor. If you're not subscribed to this channel, subscribe. I'll catch you guys all tomorrow on the podcast with Quote Trainer Ryan, Rattle, myself. Can't wait. It's always fun. But with that said, catch you on the next video.